This video is made strictly for dual citizens. If you're a Filipino citizen, you already have a passport, this does not affect you. Okay? If you're an American citizen with a US passport, it doesn't affect you. I'm only talking about dual citizens, those who are citizens of the United States or another foreign country, and also a citizen of the Philippines. So, stay with me, we'll go through it. As I mentioned on the video I made earlier, I said I did notice something posted on the New York City or New York State Philippine Consulate office. And it basically says this: for dual citizens, you can enter the Philippines by presenting your US passport or another foreign country's passport and dual citizenship documents. In that document, one page is called Identification Certificate. That is the page that you need to present. In some cases, I heard they also accept the so-called Oath of Allegiance, but primarily they want the Identification Certificate. So these two documents will allow you to get into the United States. Then when you come back out, when you leave the Philippines, you present the same document. Okay? That is the old way of doing it. The old way. Now, what did I see in the post of New York City Philippine Consulate Office? It says, and I'm going to show it to you, but in a nutshell, it says, from now on, to get into the country, the same. You can use your foreign passport and the identification, dual citizenship identification. Or if you have a Philippine passport, then you can just show both Philippine and US passport. Here is the difference. Once you get to the Philippines, they want you to get a Philippine passport. Because when you get out, you must present the Philippine passport and the US passport. Okay? Let me repeat that. To go in, it's the same old way. US passport, dual citizenship paper. If you already have a Philippine passport, then you can show Philippine passport and US passport. You can forget about the dual citizenship paper. Okay? But then to get out, meaning to leave the Philippines, you will need to have a Philippine passport. Let me show you what it says on the post, and you can see it straight from the post. As of October 22, 2020, so just a few days ago, dual citizens who are visiting the Philippines are required to present Philippine passport before exiting the Philippines. The Philippine Consulate General in New York wishes to inform our kababayans who are dual citizens that the Bureau of Immigration requires the presentation of Philippine passport before exiting the Philippines. Then it further says here, adults who have recently reacquired, retained their Philippine citizenship by virtue of Republic Act blah 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 are also encouraged to apply for Philippine passport as Philippine Consulate General New York before traveling to the Philippines. Alternatively, they may apply in the Philippines before their scheduled flight back to their country of residence. While it is not mandatory to have a Philippine passport to enter the Philippines, the said dual citizens are required to present their identification certificate together with their foreign passport to the immigration officer upon arrival. Now, this statement is not inconsistent with this one, because this one is talking about before exiting. Before exiting. This statement here is to enter the Philippines. You can present that. If you do not have Philippine passport, but you are required to get your passport in the Philippines so that you will have a passport when you exit the Philippines. This is what triggered a lot of controversy in my previous vlog. I received a lot of complaint from people who were mad, disgruntled, because it's so hard to get paperwork now. Rightfully so, it's so hard to get paperwork now. For example, I applied October 29 for renewal. This is not new, renewal of my passport, and I have to wait maybe I'm giving it up to 8 weeks. They say 4 to 6 weeks for you to get it. Not to mention, I have to drive all the way to New York City for 2 hours and spend the money, spend for parking, spend the whole day in New York City to take care of the paperwork. For some people, it's even more difficult. For example, somebody who lives in Florida will have to fly to Washington, D.C. Okay, unless you want to drive, that's far. So they fly to Washington, D.C. because that is the consulate that has jurisdiction over Florida. Okay, I got a lot of complaints. Some people are saying you're wrong. And listen, maybe, not me, maybe the post is wrong, but I was reading it correctly. So, in a nutshell, this is what I did. I sent an email to several consulates in the United States and also to the immigration office in the Philippines and the Department of Foreign Affairs in the Philippines. Basically, this is what happened. By the way, I have one viewer who saw the same post, not because I posted it, but he saw the New York City Post back in October 26. Now, this was posted October 22. No effective date, it's just that dated October 22, and they say from now on, that's what you need, okay? He saw it October 26, and he sent a text message, I guess, to the Philippine Consulate in San Francisco, and they texted him back saying basically, hey, it's the same old thing. You just need the dual citizenship paper, both ingoing and coming. This is the text message I received from one of my viewers. He sent me a copy of the screenshot of the text message. He said he sent a question to the immigration office in, I believe this is San Francisco. Hi, do dual citizens need a Philippine passport to exit the Philippines? I saw an advisory on Philippine Consulate New York website that says dual citizens are required to have a Philippine passport to exit the Philippines. Is this true? Here is the response. The Philippine passport is not necessary if you have a dual certificate. That's the ID I'm talking about. Please provide at least one requirement mentioned above. Thanks. This means at least provide a Philippine passport or a dual citizenship certificate. That is official, given by San Francisco. So I sent an email to the various consulates, San Francisco, New York, Washington, D.C., that's an embassy, and I think in Canada also, Toronto, or Vancouver, I think. And there's one more, I can't remember offhand. And basically, they were saying the same thing, with the exception of New York City, okay? They were saying the same thing, which is meaning the old way, not the new way. So, I followed up with an email and a phone call to New York City because they were the ones who were posting it, right? They were posting it. The email I received back says, do as it is written, meaning the advisory. This is advisory number 30. Do as it is written. So basically they're confirming. Then I got a phone call. This lady, her name is Jasmine, said basically the same way it was written. So I said, but how come my viewers are saying that they were able to leave the country? Okay? And also, I was talking about my one viewer who texted the San Francisco office and they responded back in text form, and I have it here. Same as before, no change. Why is that? So at that point, she had some doubt in her mind as to what the heck is going on. So she suggested that I send a letter to the Philippine Immigration and the Department of Foreign Affairs in Manila. But this is what I received from Manila. In order to be admitted as a foreigner and Filipino dual citizen, upon arrival and departure, you will need to present any of the following in addition to your foreign passport. And these are what you can present in addition to your foreign passport: valid Philippine passport, original copy certificate of retention, reacquisition of Philippine citizenship, that is the dual citizenship ID I'm talking about, and Filipino identification certificate on the basis of recognition. This is for people who got recognized as a dual citizen. Then it says, kindly check your airline if it will accept your dual citizenship document or if it will require a valid Philippine passport. This is coming from the Department of Justice, Bureau of Immigration in the Philippines. Now, here is the strange thing. They said, but please do check with your airline to see what they will accept. So the Department of Foreign Affairs said, from now on, you need a passport. None of the immigration officers were enforcing it, or they're not enforcing it. The one that will enforce it is the one in Manila. But they were saying the same thing. Oh, no change, same thing as the old way. The one in Manila said, it's the same old way, but do check with your airline to see if they will accept dual citizenship paper. So I'm at a loss. Department of Foreign Affairs issues this advisory number 30 saying from now on you need a passport, and the immigration officers either don't know or are not complying. If they're not complying because of the complexity of getting the document, especially nowadays with the COVID, with the pandemic, just say so, okay? Maybe put a delayed implementation. Nothing wrong with that. But instead, they're throwing the responsibility of enforcing it to the airlines. Why? Maybe because they don't want to accept the fact that they were wrong, that they should have not done this. So I called the airline. And what did the airline say? No, this is when you're departing, okay? I'm talking about Philippine Airlines. When you're departing, you will need to have a passport. You will need to have a passport. Let me show you what's on their website. So I checked the Philippine Airlines website, and it says here for Filipinos, and you are a Filipino, when you're dual, you're a Filipino citizen, they will require a Philippine passport. Philippine passport. But anyway, when I talked to someone at Philippine Airlines, they said they will not accept a dual citizenship paper. They need a Philippine passport. So that's what I have. To cut the long story short, I am at a loss. There is a advisory 30, and I showed it to you, that says you can come in using your ID in addition to your foreign passport or US passport. But getting out of the Philippines, you will need to have a Philippine passport. So you need to apply in the Philippines. I assume it's easier to apply in the Philippines. So for people, for example, who cannot go to, let's do, for example, the Florida person, they have to fly to Washington, D.C., and then they have to wait for so long. They will allow you to get in and then go to Manila or wherever, and it will be easier and faster to get your passport there, and that's why they're basically implementing that. So I said, okay, well, that makes sense. Of course, another viewer told me that, I think she said she's in Cebu. In Cebu, you have to set up an appointment, and it's a long waiting time, just like here in the US. So I don't know which one is true either, okay? I have no idea. So the point I'm saying is this. I'll leave it up to you guys. You guys do whatever you want to do. The people who don't believe me and maybe they're right and I'm wrong, I don't know, okay? Go ahead and take the risk. Go ahead and go home, keeping in mind I told you so. So if you come back and you get stuck, well, you have to face up to it. To be sure, apply for a Philippine passport. It just makes sense. You want to be Filipino citizen, you want to be a national of the Philippines, you have to have a Philippine passport. Okay? It makes sense to do it. And by the way, I forgot to mention that there was one viewer who sent a comment and said, "Oh, it is happening because my relatives were not allowed to get out of the country because they don't have a Philippine passport." This is very important. I forgot to mention that. So as you can see, she's saying it is happening in the Philippines, okay? So guys, it's up to you what you want to do. I can only give you what I see and the result of my research, and if the information I'm getting is incorrect, it's not my fault. I'm not making it up. I don't do fake news, okay? What I'm telling you is, to the best of my knowledge, this is what I have seen. All right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and do share this with other people who might be interested in going back to the Philippines for vacation, especially this holiday season. And thank you very much for watching. And again, please do subscribe unless you have already done so. Thank you, and make it a great day.